Spine number 9, Martino film number 3. It's time for Torso, which is a 1973 Italian Giallo film directed by Martino, as you can imagine. The film stars Susie Kendall, who's someone you might recognise if you've seen Argento's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. It also stars John Richardson, who I noticed because he was in Mario Bava's Black Sunday, which is a decent film, worth checking out. This film is cited as being possibly the earliest example of a slasher film, predating by a year Black Christmas, which I have seen boasting that claim before. Been enjoying these Martino films? Let's see how this one does, shall we?
But only on condition we don't discuss art aesthetics or the university.
You know you have the nicest eyes when you haven't got your glasses on.
No, please don't make fun of me.
A word of advice, if you want to be spared, don't try to recall who you've seen wearing that foulard, or else the colors red and black could mean for you what they meant to your friend.
Who is this speaking? Hello?
The film follows 4 students who are in one of their uncle's villas, which is high up on a mountain overlooking a small town. But to spoil their fun, a killer in a balaclava is on the loose, and he's got his eyes set on them. I found this to be a little bare bones, especially compared to the other Martino films that we've covered. There's large sections of not a lot happening, and although it's not completely void of entertainment or anything like that, I did kind of struggle with it. The acting and dubbing is borderline okay. The side characters though are pretty hilarious. There's some really funny lines here and there, and I was laughing quite a bit. The gore is a lot less than I was expecting, and the effects range from passable to completely awful. There's a scene where a guy gets his head crushed by a car and it just looks ridiculous. I'll be sure to show it in the clips, don't you worry. This is another one of Martino's very horny films, and wow, this might be the sleaziest of the 3 that we've covered so far. The first 20 minutes of this film are just sex scenes and nudity, and it kind of grinds the plot to a halt a lot of the time. There are scenes where even the actors are looking bored out of their mind throughout it. It is shot really well though. There's some really nice POV shots and where it's peeking out from under furniture, and the violence is slightly obscured in the background. I did quite like that. It had Martino's creative flair shining through, but it was few and far between, unfortunately. So, this film is quite beloved. The back of the case boasts that both Tarantino and Eli Roth are hugely influenced by it and are big fans. And I've seen the scores, I've seen the reviews and the scores on Letterboxd and things like that. People really do respect and love this film. For me though, I don't know, I just didn't think it worked. I thought that it was a little too minimalistic in the plot. And when you're comparing it to things like All the Colours of the Dog or Vice and Mrs. Ward, those films had this big creative flair about them. You know, they did more things with like the dream sequences and more experimental shots, and even the use of colour was a bit bigger, and it was... I know that this is going for more of a stripped back approach, maybe a little bit more gritty, but I don't think it fully commits to that as well. There is still these little Giallo signs, and I know that it is a Giallo film. It's not a slasher film, because that didn't really exist at this point. It is a Giallo, but I think as a Giallo it doesn't have what I look for in a Giallo, which is usually something big, creative, and full of colour and experimentation, with your gore and your sleaziness on the side. I don't know, I just don't think it does enough compared to other Giallos that I've watched. This is all obviously just my personal opinion, and I am in the minority here. People seem to really like this, but it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, well, I was there, wasn't I? I know there's another 2. There's 8 legs, 8 titties, and 4 sets of ass.
Balls. Either you were drunk or you never set foot in the villa.
Hey, he's dreaming.
Yeah, wet dreaming.
Milk, bread, and eggs, and things.
Once again, I just hit play and watch the version that the disc tells me to watch, which was the English dub, and you know what? Pretty good dub, not that bad at all. Now the version on this disc as well is the, it's like an uncut version, so there are scenes added in that were only available in the original Italian uncut version. So there's no English version of these scenes, so every now and then we swap over to people talking in Italian with English subtitles, and it flows pretty well. It's not too bad at all, to be honest. It's not jarring in the slightest. Pretty good cut, I'd say. And now for the print. This was not a great print at all. We'll start with the good. The colours popped, and it was clean looking visually. That's about as far as I can go with the good. A small thing that I spotted is that every now and then, it's like within a scene though, a scene will judder, it'll vibrate up and down, and it doesn't look great. It's a bit annoying. You'd have thought that could have been something that they could have stabilised maybe in the remaster. I don't know, because if it's on a film reel, it could just be that the reel that they're transferring it from. I don't know. I'm not an expert on how these are remastered, but it was a little bit off-putting. The main problem though is in the audio department, where there is a very loud hiss throughout about 85% of this film, and it changes in volume. When you get to the scenes where there's no music or dialogue, and all you're hearing is this hiss, it can be a little bit maddening. But the worst thing is when the hiss stops for about 2 minutes and you suddenly feel like you've gone deaf. Again, I thought this could have been something they could have cleaned up in the remaster, you know? Run a filter through or something. Again, I don't know, but it was incredibly annoying, and sometimes the hiss gets so loud that it's really hard not to notice it, and that's not good. A little bit of crackle, a little bit of hiss in the background. Fair enough, it's an old film, dirty old Italian film. But with these remasters, I've not had this before in any other of the Shameless releases, so it seems a bit strange. And every now and then the music sort of sounds like a cassette changing speeds. I'll show clips. Just not a fantastic print, and I think I can honestly say this is the worst thing I've seen Shameless put out so far print-wise. And on the disc, what do we get? We get an interview with Martino and the Italian version of the film. That's it. This is the most bare bones release they've put out so far, and it just feels lazy, to be honest. case, and they really got their thesaurus out for this one. Denouement, sapphic, and luscious students, just to give a few examples. This sentence reads a little garbled to me. Effective slayer multitasking. Dunno, doesn't flow right. We've also got one of my big pet peeves, an and after a full stop. Not great. The runtime is right though, and once again we've got a numbered version. I have 4707 with a quite high number. I'm not a big fan of the picture on the case either. The faces look just a little bit silly to me. The other side's better though, but it doesn't have the numbered version on that side, so bit of a shame. This also has a really weird addition to the case of having this little picture on the spine. Now it's the only one in the collection so far to have this, and it just doesn't look great. It looks like a mucky mark. I'm not sure why they bothered with this really. Overall then, this just didn't really do it for me. While it does get creative in the way that it's edited and shot every now and then, I just found it far too dull and badly paced. And I was expecting way more, with a colour like this, I was expecting way more violence than we actually get. Bit of a shame. Would I recommend it though? Well, I wouldn't not recommend it. Now this film's got a large cult following, so I might be the outlier here. If there's been anything in this review that's piqued your interest, check it out. You never know, you might enjoy it. As for the print though, I could not recommend this release. That hiss is far too annoying, and with no extras or anything else on the disc, it just seems sloppy. Now, Arrow have put out a version of this in their Giallo Essentials Volume 2 box set, and I believe they've also done an American release, so if you want to import, I think the region free Arrow stuff. If you're into your import and you're willing to pay the import costs, might be worth grabbing theirs. I don't know what their print's like. Don't know if it's just the same print and they've repackaged it, or if they've gone in and remastered it themselves. If anyone in the comments owns a copy of Torso, the Arrow release, let me know how it is. So, didn't like this one. Ah well, they can't all be winners, can they? Next episode, we're doing something that I've never done on the channel before. We are recovering a film. It's the fourth Martino film in the run. We're going to be looking at Mountain of the Cannibal God.